Every October in the UK, we celebrate Black History Month. As a community, this gives us the opportunity to learn, reflect, and appreciate our history in order to understand its relevance in today's society. And with that in mind, I'm very excited today to interview and explore the story of Cuthbert Williams, MBE, and co-founder of Brighton and Hove Black History. Since arriving from Jamaica to the UK in the 1960s, Cuthbert has dedicated his time to supporting our community through his work in the RAF, the NHS, and through a variety of community-led projects. Bert, welcome to Latest TV. If our audience wanted to explore more local Black history and follow yourself, Bert, where can they go to find more information with regards to Black history and some of the tours that you do around the city?
We've got a website which is black-history.org.uk. We've got a website for that. We also got a little website with a tour around Brighton, a Black history tour around Brighton, and that's called bhuntold.co.uk. And that's me doing a little talk at different points. We've included on the website school pack that would suit primary and secondary children. So yeah, all that is up online. So they can go to thomashighflyer.co.uk, or they can go to black-history.org.uk, or they can go to bhuntold.co.uk to see different.
Plenty of websites to go to and seek more information with regards to this. And usually around October time, but you are heavily involved with events that are taking place within the local community. I know this year's slightly different with COVID-19. But yeah, please do go to those websites and follow what's going down in Brighton and Hove for Black History Month. Coming back to recent times, Black history has been discussed probably more than it has been in recent times due to the Black Lives Matter movement. And there's been various issues that have been discussed in the media, such as the Windrush scandal. BBC recently made a series or a documentary based on it called Sitting in Limbo, which myself and I'm sure many other members of the Windrush community and the general public probably watched and was quite surprised by the situation. I mean, when we explore the story of the Windrush generation, Jamaica was part of Britain and you were British and you've contributed so much to the community. So from your perspective as a member of the Windrush generation, how has it felt to witness some of the uncomfortable conversations and examples of institutionalised racism that have been discussed in recent times?
Well, first of all, it calls you to look into yourself. Did I register when it was time to apply for British nationality? And that would have been around 1972, I think. Well, I did apply, so I know I was okay. I had to apply for a British passport at that time because they said that the new law comes in, which is what they're trying to do now, to send people who didn't apply. So yeah, but I don't know people who are worried because they didn't renew their passport and is worried to say anything in case it stir up hornets' nests or stir up some sort of unnecessary hassle and stress for people, because I would imagine it's a very stressful time. So yeah, there's people I personally know, but is quite worried about going through with it because of what it affects. But I think it's terrible because I don't think that we didn't just come over to England. We couldn't just come over to England. England would have to invite us to come over. Now, England has gone through or UK had gone through a terrible time during the Second World War, loss of men and deaths, and so they need people to rebuild the country. And what they did, they looked towards the British Commonwealth, they looked towards the British people. India, Africa, Jamaica. Well, India was all one. India was all one. I meant undivided India. So they looked towards them. And I know, as far as my sisters are concerned at Brighton General, there were nurses there from Nigeria. There were nurses there from India. There was nurses from Guyana, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad. They used to recruit boys, men from Sri Lanka to work in psychiatric units. So there's always been, the health service has always been diverse and employing a lot of, because you got to think of the jobs that they're doing. Not many white people want to do those jobs. They don't want to look after the elderly because it's a bit messy. They don't want to clean people's bottom. That's not their style. The girls want to be secretary. They want their nails painted. They don't want to clean up all this. So they look towards the Caribbean. And you talk about being British, and they came over from the Caribbean. I can talk about my two sisters. They had to have A levels to come and do nursing.
Yeah.
So as my wife Shirley. She had to have O levels to come to England to do her nursing. Shirley, my wife, didn't just come, and my sister didn't just come. They advertised for posts in the Caribbean to come and fill. And it's not just nurses that they were recruiting for. They were recruited for engineers, carpenters, mechanics, cooks, RF personnel, army personnel. They were looking for people to work in the mines. In the north, they were looking for people to work in the cotton industry. The mines, the coal mines, they were looking for men. They were totally short of men. Mm-hmm. And these Jamaicans fill those posts. And then a few years later, when it's all up and running and they've got enough strength, they said, oh, well, we want to send them back home. And this is what it's all about. So yeah, it brings a lot of fear into a lot of West Indians when you think that you come over to sacrifice your life. You just have to think of the 2 world wars. And think of the Asian people, the Indians. Brighton alone had over 12,500 Indian soldiers in the Royal Pavilion, Brighton General, York Place School, that came over and fought for England, fought for Europe, fought for Britain in the First World War. They were wounded in Belgium and they were brought back to Brighton. You know, and Brighton, as I said, Brighton is special. Brighton openly welcomed these Indian soldiers, so much that the British authority didn't want the women to mix with the soldiers. Mm-hmm. So they put high fences all around the Royal Pavilion, all around Brighton General Hospital. That was a 2,000 Indian bedded hospital, Brighton General. That was the largest Indian hospital outside India. And while they were there, every religious rights were respected, as would be in India. There's Hindus, Sikhs, Muslims, and Christians, all living together in the hospitals in Brighton. Each had separate utilities. The wash hand taps, for instance, they had 2 taps, 2 cold water taps, one for the Hindu and the Sikhs and one for the Muslims. They had special toilets. The butchery, which was outside the hospital, they had one butcher shop divided into 2, and there is marked Mohammedans and Hindustani. That's the butchers. They had them. The toilets were even converted in the pavilion to the squat position suitable for the Indian soldiers. The catering arrangements that was made for the food. For instance, it was difficult to get ghee, which is the Indian oil for that. Mm-hmm. So they substituted for butter, but didn't tell them, because the cow and the butter and things like that. They didn't tell them, but they substituted that. Sleeping arrangements, the sleeping arrangements. At the first time they opened up the hospital, they had to change all the mattress because the men would sleep on the floor. Because the mattress was made out of a material which that the Muslim couldn't sleep on itself. They would sleep on the floor, so the bed would be here and they'd sleep on the floor. The British government was against the slave trade in the end, in 1834, because it was abolished, but slavery was still continuing. Now, a lot of people know about the west coast of Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, and Gambia, and all those areas up there, Sierra Leone. A lot of people know about the slavery that went to the Caribbean and the South America and the USA. But not a lot of people know about the African slaves were taken from the east coast of Africa, and they were taken to India, and they were taken to the Persian Gulf, and that was still continuing. So the British government set up a squadron of ships called the Anti-Slavery Battalion, and that is to stop that trade. So they send warships in, and while they were there patrolling along, they come across this dhow with 156 boys on board. The captain stopped it, sent little small boats off to get it. One was named Thomas Highflyer. Thomas Malcolm Sabine Highflyer, that was how his name. That's a captain's name, Captain Paisley's name. But the ship was Highflyer. So Thomas picks up the name from the captain and the ship, Thomas Highflyer. In those days, in 1866, a captain would have so many boys on board, like 20 boys on board, and they would run errands and do cleaning and look after the officer's uniform. And he had 5 cooks on board. There was 297 men on this warship that rescued Thomas. And while Thomas was on this board and he was on this ship for 2 years, he could speak English, So, and for the officer to select this boy, that means he's special somehow. And when he came to Brighton, you could see he was special. How the people that looked after him, the Thompson, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, they wanted to bring him up as a Christian boy. So they got him to go to church and they got him to be baptized. He got baptized, and then 3 months later he died, age 12 to 13, he said. Between 12 to 13 he died. And obviously buried at Woodvale. And we do think highly of him. So that we feel quite proud of that.
Definitely. Well, it's really interesting to just reflect on the contributions of a variety of people, cultures that have come from different places that have contributed in making Great Britain what it is today. And going back to some of that history is very, very interesting. Coming back to recent times, Bert, so in 2011, you were awarded an MBE. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you find out about being awarded the MBE?
I had no idea really until I get a letter to ask if I'll accept or not. Obviously I said yes. Very exciting time it was at that time, obviously, and had lots of congratulations.
I bet.
But I felt it's not a one-man job. It really is. It's a group of people that I volunteer with and work with. None of them is paid. None of them is paid for anything. And all of them gives up their Friday so that we can meet. I feel honored to a lot of that you could have such honest and kind and helpful people, that they're not after status or money, but they all got one thing in common. They want to educate people And that's the sort of people I'm surrounded with. So getting the MBE, I feel they got it. All I do is show off with it, but they're the ones that work for it, because I would be nothing without them, without the people. And they're the ones that support me, my family as well, they support me. So I couldn't do it on my own. When the lady rang me and told me that, yes, I got the MBE, and first time in my life I broke down, you know.
Aww.
Right? And all I could say to her, I think my brother died maybe a month before. All I could say to her, oh, I remember, sorry, I gotta go. I said, my brother who was just died would have feel really proud of me. I felt that way. And I said, sorry, I gotta go. Put the phone on. I said, yeah, I understand. That happens all the time. So it let me feel a bit better, really. But yeah, I felt really proud, and I was allowed to go and take 3 guests. So I took my wife and 2 children along, and we went to Buckingham Palace. And Wayne, the hairdresser, he and his wife organised a collection to hire a car and a driver to take me there and take me back. So. And pay for a Chinese meal at the end of it.
Excellent. You were well treated.
Yeah, I was really spoiled.
Chauffeured and fed.
Spoiled, yeah. And yeah, quite Charles, I met Prince Charles, and I had the audacity to invite him to the Chatra Memorial service, and he pointed to me and said, I'll see. Well, he pointed like that, I'll see. And I did check it out with the Lord Lieutenant, but it didn't get any further. So just let it be.
So Prince Charles, if you're watching this, we're still expecting you to come to Brighton.
You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Seems like we got to invite his son instead.
Yes. Well, it's such a big achievement. And I remember it being heavily discussed in the local media. And I think on behalf of the local community, you know, there are many people that are very proud of what you've achieved and what you've contributed. And although you have a great team around you that support you in contributing to the local community, it's you just put that together. So it's brilliant to see that you've been awarded that.
There's a team of us, really. And we've been going together since 2002. Well, we've been going before, but it's 2002 we officially made up our mind to form a group, which takes time. So yeah, we've been going since around 2000. But I've been doing volunteer work since the 70s.
Do you think COVID-19 has really highlighted that, and maybe in certain local areas brought us more closer towards our neighbour?
Yes, I totally agree with you, because in my case, it puts my faith back in human beings, the amount of offer of help I've got from WhatsApp group, from neighbours putting notes in my door, from neighbours who know my number to ring me if I need anything. No, it's my children are a blessing, and both of them. I could push my luck and let them do the shopping all the time, but I do it online now, so it makes it a lot easier. But no, it's changed. The pandemic has changed my views totally about my relationship with people. Mm-hmm. You know, I just feel that it brought us all together.
Yeah.
But then it take a disaster to do it. You know, I mean, you think when there's a
sometimes.
bad snowstorm, everybody speaks to you at the bus stop, and if you get to the bus stop, but everybody speaks to you because we have something to discuss. You know?
Definitely.
So yeah, I think it brought us together.
Which brings me to my last question, Bert. So in recent times, there are many people upset, confused, feeling uncomfortable about the current situation, and then there's yourself, who has witnessed so much, experienced so much, and achieved so much. My last question to you would be, what would your advice be to young people who may be watching this, may be confused about what their position is in our society, and they're watching this, you, a leader of your generation who's achieved so much, what would your advice be?
Oh man, that's sugar. that is a difficult one to answer.
Sorry.
No. I think they've got to pay more to education and young people, more in education, and I think they're kind. Since the pandemic, even passing children on the road, they'll cross over, and we try to do the same, nod your head and thank you, and they're saying thank you. So, I mean, I think this brought us together. This pandemic has brought us together more.
Well, Bert, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure to explore your story. And thank you so much for your time. And I will definitely be exploring the Black History website in a bit more detail and exploring some of the stories that you've discussed today. And I would definitely recommend our audience to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.